Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode on the Sports Stories podcast. I'm your host, Seiji McSwain. Now, for today's episode, I'm going to be going over my top 5 most disappointing NFL teams of the season so far. Since we already made it past over the halfway mark, I thought I'd just go over some of the teams that many people, even myself, thought were going to be one of the top 10 teams, mainly the Rams, because I go back to my rankings. I said the Rams are going to have the best record, and doesn't look too good so far. But I mean, we'll be going ahead looking at some of these teams that my top 5 teams at least that have been really disappointing in both my sense and from the public media standpoint. So let's go ahead and check them out here. Now, starting off with number 5, I have the 3-7 Denver Broncos. Now, Russell Wilson, a Pro Bowl quarterback, was meant to elevate the Broncos to top status. However, Wilson, who has completed only 7 touchdown passes in 10 games, is in charge of the league's worst offense, actually statistically ranking 32nd in the league, which scores on average of just 14.7 points per game. Denver's defense is strong, ranking first in scoring, top 3 in yards allowed, second in passing yards allowed, and top 20 in sacks. With a schedule consisting of the Ravens, Cardinals, Chargers, and 2 games against the Chiefs still remaining, schedule is not exactly light for them, and it's definitely going to be really tough for them to continue here and try and win games, try to make a playoff berth. It seems pretty hard, especially as how competitive the AFC is currently. I don't really see in the future that they do make a playoff spot. And with the contract with Russell Wilson, a lot of people thought, I think their Super Bowl odds went up. I mean, they skyrocketed there. I mean, everybody really thought this Broncos team would be way better than what it is now. And, even myself, I did say the Broncos would go 10-7 and miss out on the playoffs, but I still don't really see much consisting, possibly not even a winning record here for the Broncos, and I have them here at my 5 spot. Now, coming in at 4, I have another AFC West team here with the Las Vegas Raiders, coming into this one with a 3-7 record. Now, after lofty offseason expectations, the 2022 Las Vegas Raiders are off to a slow season. Of course, given the 3-7 record, that's putting it mildly. To be honest, many of those expectations were also placed on the team by fans and media personalities. The problem was that all of the above overlooked the team's plethora of flaws. At the same time, this is not an excuse for these 3 players thus far. The offensive line was reshuffled going into week 1, and in many ways up until now. Many people, including myself, have given Josh McDaniels' record in New England. He did it all at the same time with the Patriots. These are all the Raiders, though. I mean, it is the Raiders. So the O-line depth has decreased from McDaniels' prior position, starting with the top 5 linemen and letting them gel, develop, and even get out and evolve. It just kind of makes more sense. But I digress. I guess there is no need to offer justifications, as was previously stated. I think overall there isn't many excuses for this Raiders team. Of course, the wide receiver depth went down since they got Devontae Adams, and they couldn't really restructure any other contracts with wide receivers. Hunter Renfrow being out for the majority of the season, Darren Waller being out for the majority of the season also does not help. The offensive line has been pretty horrendous over the past few seasons, and Derek Carr, his production has slightly decreased, and looking defensively just has not gone up. I mean, the addition of Chandler Jones hasn't done much either for the team. I mean, he's still making plays, but definitely not what we believed. Even myself as a Raiders fan, I thought there would be more. to the season, given the pieces that they acquired. I did have them at a 10-7 record as well, tied at the bottom with the Denver Broncos. And as right now, they are tied at the bottom with the Denver Broncos. But, again, coming from a playoff seed, losing in the wild card round to the Bengals, and now this season possibly not even getting close with, all-pro wide receiver like Davante Adams and another all-pro pass rusher and linebacker in Chandler Jones. It just, has been very disappointing, for this season. Now, next up, I have the 3 spot. I have the Green Bay Packers coming in with a 4-7 record. Now, the Packers are top 10 in allowing the fewest passing yards in the league while having 11 takeaways. Green Bay has also struggled to stop the run, allowing the 6th most rushing yards in the league with 1,494 yards. Aaron Rodgers has only thrown 19 touchdowns in 11 games, which I know, it was like, oh, that's kind of a bad stat to bring up. But, for Aaron Rodgers, I feel like he would have a lot more around this time, especially around this time they would probably be on a roll. The past, few seasons, they've only lost 3 games each season. So, they should have been definitely a way better team this season, as well as Aaron Rodgers. That 19 touchdowns in 11 games doesn't seem like much to bring up, but for Aaron Rodgers, it is pretty low. And the Packers are ranked 24th in scoring, despite being top 5 in time of possession. And it's going to be really hard, especially with, how demanding the schedule is. They have games coming up this week against the Eagles on Sunday, and they got the Dolphins later in the season, and then they got a division rival in the Vikings coming up, during the season. It's definitely going to be tough for them to really make a playoff push, and I don't believe that they will. I originally had them coming in, I want to say either second or first in the NFC North with another 13-3 record, or sorry, not 13, 14-3 record, I believe. But just this season just has not been meshing really well with Aaron Rodgers, and the receivers and the defense just hasn't really been on point, on or I guess compared to, previous seasons. Now, next up, coming at my 2 spot, I have the 4-7 Arizona Cardinals. Now, the Arizona Cardinals undoubtedly fallen short of expectations so far. The Cardinals were expected to at least demonstrate their postseason readiness early in the regular season, even with DeAndre Hopkins' absence. The team's 4-7 record under Cliff Kingsbury's leadership has left much to be desired. Though Arizona doesn't have much time to improve and become the team that, the devoted and dedicated Red Sea feels they can, because the season is almost to a close. As of right now, they haven't been performing up to par through 11 games. However, Kyler Murray is, supposed to be back from injury, so hopefully that does help a lot. They have looked pretty good with Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins on the same field. Now that Kyler Murray's been out or injured a little bit for the past few weeks, they haven't really looked as good, mainly getting blown out in Mexico by the San Francisco 49ers. But now that Kyler Murray is back out on the field with D-Hop, maybe they can work some magic against the Chargers and also possibly reach for that playoff berth, but I do highly doubt it. It just doesn't seem like this Cardinals team is really on the same page, and it looks like they're just kind of continuing what they had late in the 2021 to 2022 season, where they were just kind of losing and kind of seemed discombobulated, not on the same page. Now, coming in at my first spot, my most disappointing team of the season are the Super Bowl champion Los Angeles Rams, coming into this video with a 3-7 record. And on both sides of the ball, the Super Bowl champions are struggling. The Rams' running game is ranked 31st, while their defense ranks 15th in terms of points allowed. Last year, quarterback Matthew Stafford led the NFL in interceptions with 17 of them, and this season passing for 10 touchdowns and 8 interceptions in only 9 games played. Now, I do know that he's been out with a concussion, and he will be out in this game against the Chiefs with a concussion, or, just other injury problems possibly hindering him. I do know that, but despite Aaron Donald's 5 sacks in 10 games, the Rams ranked 21st with 22 sacks, and with 2 of the remaining teams on the schedule sporting a winning record, 2 against the Seahawks, which is going to be a big divisional matchups, and then also 1 matchup with the Chiefs. The Los Angeles Rams will have to earn a trip to the playoffs, and when I say earn, I mean they'll have to really try hard. But I highly doubt it. The injuries that have been to Matthew Stafford, on top of him not really playing well when he is in a game, I just don't really see the Rams really making a run, mainly because of that offense. Jalen Ramsey spoke on it, saying that the offense that can't really close games out, and the defense hasn't really been able to play either, really trying to close out games and, forcing teams to not score on them. They just have not looked good whatsoever. So, that's why I really have the Rams at my top spot. I mean, they were Super Bowl champions. I had them being the second best team in the NFL. I thought they were going to be really good, but they've just come out and not shown the same ability to really be that dominating team that they were last year. On top of that, Cooper Kupp being injured and now out for the season just a few weeks ago or a couple weeks ago. That one's definitely a big hit as well, and definitely has added on to him not being that great of a player. And that'll be all for today's episode. I want to thank everybody for listening or watching all the way through. If you're on YouTube, make sure you go ahead and leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and also share the video with anybody that you think may want to watch it. And then if you're on a podcast platform, make sure you go ahead and leave the podcast a 5-star review, as well as hit that follow button for any updates that I do make on the channel. And that'll be it again for today's episode. Again, thank you for listening and watching all the way through, and have a great rest of your day. Bye.